Okay, I'm on the flight from Heathrow. We're going to Geneva. We've been picked up by Greubel and we're heading over to their manufacturing. I reached out to Greubel and after a video I did actually with Justin, we spoke about the handmade 2, which reported around 6,000 hours of production. And that really got my interest, my fascination. And of course, Mr. Zuckerberg has made Greubel probably a spike in their searches in the past 2 months. So we're heading there now. We're going to do a manufacturing tour. We're going to talk about the watches. And I'm going to share the whole thing with you. Lovely, thank you. Okay, I've just been collected. We're in the car, we're on the way, about 19 minutes drive from Geneva Airport. But one thing I really wanted to share with you is, if you've been following along, you'll know I have a lifelong love, passion, obsession with IWC. And Greubel Forsey actually has an incredible link back to perhaps the golden era of Gunter Blumlein. Because actually, Mr. Greubel himself, he worked at IWC in that era where high watchmaking was really pushed, so the grand comps, and interestingly the Da Vinci, the perpetual calendar 3755, so post quartz crisis. And the next thing that I think is really important to set the scene is Greubel are fully independent. They are 100% owned by the founders, actually as of the start of this year. They were in 2006. Richemont did have a minority stake. That is not the case anymore. So I think really frees up a brand to operate in a different way, right? You have completely different incentives. So let's go, let's unpack some more. We're in the Château de Fonds, and here is Tag. One of many watchmakers we'll see on the way.
Mixture of the old farm and the modern building is Greubel Forsey.
Beautiful. Okay guys, just in the foyer, we haven't actually been here for about an hour, and I gotta show you this. This is all an original building. So it's a 17th century barn that was bought at the start of the 2000s, and it was originally intended to actually be the whole atelier, but very quickly they realized it wouldn't be enough, so they started to build the atelier next door, which we're going to see in a minute. But look at this, it's all original, and this original stonework is a wine cellar, which of course we are going to try and get a look at. What, just absolutely phenomenal building. Oh wow, this is where we're standing.
So this is actually a place in La Chaux-de-Fonds. Those were kind of the offices before they moved in here.
Oh wow.
And that's what it looks like there. And so they wanted to replicate the sort of the roots from where they were coming from here. Okay. So you have the two sort of stairways going up.
Yeah.
And so this was built to reflect that place, which was called the Ancien Manège. Which I think really there's cool. A restaurant now, and there's still a few watchmakers working there as well.
Quick one, I didn't actually think I'd be videoing this part. So this is the logistics area, but this is, get this, this is the place where they record or log components. So there are 35,000, when it was last evaluated, components that are individually logged. Now that might be like a screw that's slightly bigger, and only 2,500 watches delivered. So do the math there. That's some pretty wild stats. All right, so here you can see behind me. Now you might think, okay, I mean, it's just some CNC machines, but what's really cool about this is usually these machines would produce thousands and thousands. There he is. Thousands and thousands of pieces, but actually some of these are producing 10-ish machined pieces, which is just the raw material. So R&D, obviously a huge part of the watchmaking. This whole room, and this is just one part, bear in mind, is dedicated just to R&D. Now, why is that? It's because they wanted the R&D production schedules to be completely separate from the commercial production schedule. So R&D can go from start to finish, they can test, they can build, sort of do their own thing, which I think really speaks to the spirit of the brand. So we're just walking past here. Now, this was apparently a small detail, but I think it's worth sharing with you. So normally when things are CNC'd, you can just hit the press the go button and move on. But let me show you this. So in this room, these gentlemen here, what they do is they actually completely control the whole CNC process, because the CNC process here isn't actually meant to be the final product. It's the raw material. It's super precise, but it's only when we get to hand finishing do we worry about what it actually looks like. This is where all of the magic happens with the handmade. This is the room where the special stuff is created, and it's really quite fascinating seeing how you go from machined to actually fully, totally handmade, handcrafted timepieces. Truly exceptional.
So there's here we're being exquisitely effective. So we're doing 4 components at a time, which is quite rare.
Wow. Here it is. Here is the handmade jewel that goes inside the handmade too. So on the right, you can see that's where it starts. And then how long does it take to produce this?
Many weeks.
Weeks at a time per jewel. Wild. There you go.
So that's hairspring, finish hairspring, and that's where we start off.
God, is it a little escape wheel trying to escape? The hairspring, which is completely manufactured in-house, was actually started, well, the R&D was started in 2009. 2008, 2009. So here is the overview of the case component, or the main components. There are roughly 36 components. You can see here from start to finish. Then here's the crown and the buckle. It's about 2 months. It was 3, but they've managed to get this craziness down to 2 months.
So here we have the handmade too, finally. So here again, so every movement component and the case is machined using only hand-operated tools, so no CNC numeric control for any of this. So fully handmade watch, of course, hand-finished, every surface of every component, as with any Greubel Forsey, and assembled by one single watchmaker from A to Z. So here, this is over 5,000 hours of work just to actually build one single timepiece.
Absolutely astounding. Truly one of the most incredible watches I've personally had the absolute luck to handle. Thank you. This the hand finishing department, it's actually in this back corner because it gets the most natural light through the day without being direct sunlight, and even cooler, so that they can relax their eyes. It's got a beautiful, expansive view. So here, when things are hand finished, each component that you see here will have an equivalent of this, and this is a way to sort of affix the component ready for hand finishing.
Obviously, every surface of every component, whether visible or not, will be finished, and especially every timepiece to the same standards. So whether it's a Grand Sonnery, which is 1.2 million, or a Balenciaga Quantum Pro, which is 200K, the level of finish is the same in terms of the effort that goes into it.
So if you'll notice here, interior angles are abundant, but this is actually a great opportunity to showcase exactly why you would use them. So if you look here, you see the interior angles, but here there aren't interior angles. Now, that is because this is a technical area, so it just wouldn't make sense. It would sort of, degrade the performance of the watch, but absolutely phenomenal, just the level of hand finishing. And obviously we knew that, but the quality of it, just astounding. You see it literally everywhere across all the metals, from titanium, gold, steel. It's truly phenomenal. So here is the balance bridge of the handmade too. Now on the right hand side, this is where it's been handmade. If you look at all the edges, they're very straight. Nothing's yet been finished. And then when you get to the left, you start to see, that's a sticker. You start to see, look at the phenomenal difference. So you start out with a file to get that barrel shape, and then all the sort of finishing, the black polishing, the beveling. Look at that, like even that is black polished. That takes a few weeks just for this one piece alone. Truly outstanding. Spotted this. Look, this is every unique caliber over the years. What's really cool about it, we're gonna get there. Is look, there's a room right on the end, and as you can see, things just get added on, which I think is really telling actually about what Greubel's about. So we're just in the assembly section, and look at this note. So I don't speak French, I will confess, it's been translated for you, but a sincere laugh is like a ray of sunshine in your house. How beautiful. What a thing. And here are some watches in the process of being assembled. Okay, so something that's really cool is all the watches are assembled twice. So they're assembled, tested, disassembled, finished, or all the final parts are finished, like the black polishing, reassembled, and then tested again. Super cool. And I actually didn't know that Greubel did it. Of course, our friends over at Lange have done it forever, but so Greubel. So I've just got a minute. I'm just waiting for Michelle. He's grabbing some watches. Thank you. And one thing I think is worth noting is it's almost the entire thing feels irrational. What do I mean by that? It's nothing is done, just because it is how it is, or nothing is done with a commercial aspect. Of course, it is a commercial thing, it's a business, but everything is truly done in a way that maximizes what it is to be great. So on the Balenciaga 3, what's really cool, and anyone who's been following along will know I love titanium, is all of the bridges and the case are polished titanium, which if you've been around the game long enough, you'll know that working with titanium is already a nightmare, never mind polishing the damn stuff. Truly, what a fun watch. We're back in the old side of the building, and as you go around, you see different timestamps. And here in what used to be the bedroom, it says 1714 on it. And I'm going to show you some details that I think really encapsulate just the whole Swiss watchmaking industry. Okay, here, 1714, listed on the wall. And here would have been the bedroom. So here would have been some bunk beds that were closed off to keep the heat in. And as we go around the room, and this is how the room would have been heated, so the coal would have come in from the other side and heated up the room. But this is what's really special. So back in the day, this is called the wandering watchmaker or clockmaker. And back in the day, people in Neuchâtel were farmers. But what would happen in the winter, they couldn't farm, so they would take their little backpacks, their watchmaking stuff, or their watches, and they'd go out and try and sell these things right until, I guess, the farming season started again. And this is an original piece from well, we're not exactly sure, but sometime around the 1714, maybe a bit later. How insane is that? So here's the original farmhouse, and then there it is, the new construction. We've just been filming. Absolutely astounding. Of course, every brand has their pitfalls, their greatnesses, and well, most brands. But what I think is fairly indisputable is their commitment to the handmade, right? It's 96% handmade. And the other thing is, for a brand that's 21 years old, they don't play the, I guess, the novelties game. They don't really have families of watches, certainly from my perspective, in the traditional sense. But what they do have is probably, there's no darling, right? All of their watches are, or so many of their watches are, sincerely, technically brilliant. For example, I love the handmade, I make no secret of that. But you compare that to their Saunier, and they're just not comparable. They're very different watches, different audiences, but at their core, technically very, very, very impressive. So that's a wrap.